Hi everybody.
Hi there.
Welcome to Quilt Club for February 2022.
Yeah, I believe it's month 5.
I don't even know.
Time flies when you're having fun, as always.
I think we're month 6.
Are we?
My fingers just said
September. Month 6.
It's counting with Cynthia and Shannon. So welcome to month 6. We have a few things to share with you today. First thing is I was making a sample that you'll see behind us here.
Which is gorgeous.
It is gorgeous, and I was holding it up for Derek to say, ooh, look how nice this is, and he had the nerve to stand there and say, yeah, it's okay, but there aren't quilts all just generic. Imagine the horror.
She texted me.
She texted her, and I think
I went,
I finished off the statement with uncultured swine.
It was just perfect. But you know, Paul is exactly the same.
He did similar.
And I've been thinking, as with most quilters, we don't have a handmade quilt on our bed. There's lots of other quilts in the house, and my kids both have one, but we don't have one yet. So I was very tempted by a pattern I saw recently. Border Creek Station, actually. Of
course.
Because beautiful, beautiful fabrics. So I was showing all the fabrics to Paul, and do you think you'd like this? He's kind of like, it's okay. Are you happy with what we've got? Yeah, it's good. What we have on our bed is probably a 20-year-old quilt comforter from Walmart or something, which just made me kind of sad. But yeah, like Shannon said, uncultured swine. Yes. What do they know?
What do they know?
And that is not blackballing all men, because there's lots of men out there who appreciate a beautiful quilt, and in fact,
not the ones we're involved
a beautiful quilt. Yeah, I know, just not our spouses. But
yes.
Anyway,
so be it. So
okay,
we have a few things obviously to share with you today. First thing is something called Roxanne's Glue Basted. It comes in this little tube so you can store it nicely, and then when you pull it out, it's in this little accordion folded bottle.
So cute. It's like a
Spring
little
bottle.
Baby squeeze box.
It is like a little baby squeeze box. So what's in here is glue based. Glue based is so handy for so many different projects. It's great for applique to start with. You can just put little teeny tiny dabs of glue onto your fabric and then iron it, and that seals it. It is water soluble, so it washes away, or if you needed to, you know, peel it away. I've done that before too. It's also great for seams if you're doing a seam, or purse handles, or anything that you just need to temporarily hold in place.
Zippers.
And zippers. It works really, really well. And because it's got such a teeny tiny nozzle, which again, you can, don't know how well you can see that, probably not at all actually. You can,
that's how tiny it is.
That's how tiny it is. You can control how much glue you get on there, and you just give it just a teeny tiny press, and just a little wee bit comes out. And the other great thing about this bottle is that before you seal it up, take the little cap off, if you stretch the accordion out, it will suck all the glue back into the tube, and then you can put the lid on, and your little nozzle will not clog up.
That's a great
problem. It is a great
solver.
Because if you're there with a toothpick trying to stick it down there, and the toothpick wouldn't even fit down this one, it's so tiny.
A fine pin.
It would have to be something very small, and it never really gets to the bottom. So it allows you to reuse and reuse, because I've got one that I had to toss because I didn't take care of it very well. So this one lets you take care of your glue base, and it's just a handy thing to have if you're doing any inset seams, or seams that are little tiny ones, little short pieces that you just need that extra little bit of help. This will do it for you. It is 1 ounce, and it is $16.99.
Very nifty. And in the Roxanne's, there's various other sizes, but that one, I think, with that micro tip is probably
this
the
comes
best.
highly recommended by one of our customers. She was the one that asked me to get it in, and I saw it and thought, oh, that's the stuff. Yeah. And Roxanne's, I think it's about the only glue based we carry, because it is the best glue based out there.
Okay, I have another nifty product. This is called So Smooth, and I stumble over those 2 words for some reason, so if I do, I apologize. It is a silicone lubricant, and it's used for both machine and hand sewing. I'll just come just a wee bit closer so you can see what it looks like. It's just a little bottle of clear liquid. It is not oily or greasy in any way. It is a silicone lubricant, which is a very different thing from oil-based lubricant. So it has a little cap on the top, and then you'll puncture the top to make a fine drip spot. What you can do with this for machine sewing is draw a bead of the silicone lubricant across your spool of thread. So you're going across the wrap threads around, and it will put a bead of the silicone lubricant across, and that will sink down into your thread. It doesn't affect your thread at all, but it does make it more slippery. So when that thread is fed through your tension discs or your thread guides or anything on your machine, it will slide a whole lot more smoothly. And you're not going to notice that tension on the thread when you're sewing, but it's going to help improve your stitch quality when you're doing machine stitching. You can do the same thing on your bobbin, and it'll help as the bobbin thread runs through all the guides, and there's usually quite a few of them. And it's just going to make both upper and lower thread slide more smoothly and improve your stitch quality. For hand sewing, they suggest that you run the Sew Smooth along the length of your needle. So you're doing your shaft and your eye, and that will lubricate your needle and the eye where your thread goes through. So again, it allows your thread to run more smoothly through your needle, but it allows that needle to slide through your fabric more easily as well. So it just makes hand stitching that much easier. It'll run through like a hot knife through butter. And you can also use it to lubricate your accessories, like your scissors and snips, other accessories like that. And again, it just reduces the friction on your scissor blades or other similar blades. When they're bypassing each other, they're going to be nice and smooth, so you're not going to have any friction. So it's just going to make it a lot easier when you're doing that cutting. Less tension against your hands as you're working your scissor blades. So lots of different purposes for the Sew Smooth. It's very inexpensive, $8.99 for a 30 milliliter bottle. So that is going to last you a long, long time because you're just putting a little bit on your threads or your accessories.
Okay, so as I mentioned, I've been working on this sample here behind us.
I think it's so lovely.
It's very, very pretty. I think it's got so many different things going on and secondary patterns. It's quite nice. It's called Frontier. It's by Adita Sitar. She's from Laundry Basket Quilts. She's fabulous. She designs things and just makes everyone go, ah. She's incredible. Her applique and her piecing, it's really good.
I don't think I've ever seen a pattern of hers I don't like.
No, not at all. So she has designed a ruler. It is called Alaska. It looks like this without the packaging. It's hard to see, isn't it?
Here.
Something. Why, thank you. So this is the Alaska
it helps
ruler.
A little bit.
Just a bit of a diamond shape. And it does a lot of different things. Of course, because it's a Creative Grids ruler, it's got great markings on it. They need to be, they are exactly where you need them to be each time when you're cutting and lining something up and you think, oh, where should, and then you see the mark and you know you need to cut. It's got the non-slip grip on the back, and the numbers are very easy to read as well. Comes with a set of instructions. It tells you everything you need to know. It shows you all the different shapes it can cut, shows you how to cut each different shape. It gives you a chart of all the different sizes you can make. So it's a very, very good ruler. The ruler not only makes the 3 blocks that I've got up here, which I'll show you. So there's one block down in the corner here, which isn't a remarkable block on its own. It's once it gets in with the other ones.
Beautiful secondary pattern.
However, depending how you place these colors, it can be a remarkable block on its own. Then there's this block here in the center, and then there's the block in the center. So it's the bottom center, sorry. The center block, which is a very pretty block all by itself. But when you put these 3 blocks together, it makes a secondary pattern, and it's really, really pretty. So all you really need to do is just cut these different shapes and sew them together. It's actually quite simple, and the ruler has you cut the shapes so quickly and so easily. As you all know by now, you've seen different rulers in action. You cut strips of fabric and you just line the ruler up, and you flip-flop it each way and you get different shapes. So this ruler does diamonds. As you can see, the diamonds show up here. These little diamonds there, they're in most of the blocks. Different sizes. You can do every different size of diamond up to, I think, 6 inches. It also cuts half diamonds. Obviously, if it cuts whole diamonds, it's going to cut half diamonds. The half diamonds are all over the place as well. They're these big ones. And it cuts triangles, which actually start off as squares, and then it cuts half square triangles for you. So very versatile. Those shapes, that's all that's in there, those 3 different shapes. Fantastic. She also shows you, or the instructions show you, all the different blocks you can make on the bottom here. There's 10 different blocks you can make. And then if you take your color placement and change your colors around, you can have blocks coming out your ears, all different. She has 4 different YouTube videos regarding this ruler that you can watch. Each one shows you how to cut the different pieces, and she shows you all the different blocks and different color schemes, and it's really, really good. So this ruler goes, as I said, you can do a 9-inch block, 10-inch block, 12-inch, or 16. So you could make these blocks 16 inches, which would bump the size of this up a lot, or you could even, do another add the groups, sorry, add another one on, another one, you can have a whole quilt instead of just the wall hanging. The wall hanging
just
is
build the blocks and then
33 and a half, yeah, and then you can just make more of the blocks and you could quadruple it and have the whole thing done. It's really, really nice, and it went together so fast. There's also another pattern called Alaska that she's done, and it is spectacular.
Similar kind of feel.
It's same thing, yeah, and
really
it uses
nice.
the ruler. The pattern is $22.99, and this quilt is 71 and a half square. The Frontier pattern that I've made here, it's just missing its border, but it'll get there. That is 33 and a half square, and that pattern is $18.99, and the ruler is $51.99. I think I covered everything with that. I enjoyed using it. It was really nice, and it's not just a one-trick pony. It does a bunch of different things, and it makes it easy. She's got the engineered corners going on, and she shows you how to piece things, and it falls together perfectly.
Fun making a sample when you love the sample.
It is, absolutely.
Okay, I have a ruler as well. So we've got 2 rulers to dazzle you with this month. Mine is the Quick Trim and Circle ruler. It's also a ruler from Creative Grids. This is designed by Karen Montgomery. And a small funny aside, we went to a thing, I think it was the 1st or 2nd year we owned the store, and we took our husbands with us. We never again. But I mean, it was fine. They were being our techs, so we took them along to soak up the knowledge. Anyway, so Paul and all of us went to a presentation by Karen Montgomery, and my husband Paul was absolutely dazzled by Karen Montgomery. So he is her #1 fan, and still to this day.
Yeah, we call her Paul's girlfriend.
Paul's girlfriend, yes.
But not because he liked her. It was
it was her practical presentation and her business savvy and everything else about her. But so anything Karen Montgomery does gets the Paul Ramsey seal of approval. So you know this is a good ruler, right?
Exactly.
So the Quick Trim and Circle ruler is one of those rulers that just keeps on giving. It is not a one-trick pony. It's got all sorts of things you can do with it.
It might have a few more tricks than my Alaska ruler, actually.
It might. It's maybe not quite as dazzling as that sample, but it's pretty good. So it is called Quick Trim and Circle ruler. So first of all, I'm going to show you the circle part. Again, this is a Creative Grids ruler, so it comes with awesome directions, YouTube support. It's got the grip system on the back. So I've got the full directions for all the different things you can do, but I lost mine, so I was able to go and print them. So if you ever lose your Creative Grids instructions,
it's a nice feature.
Remember, you can go to the Creative Grids website, just Google Creative Grids, you'll find it, and you can download the instructions for any ruler that you might have. So that's a great thing to know. So when you're making a circle, I'm just going to come a little bit closer here so you can see what the ruler is like, and I'll hold this behind it. So you can see on the ruler there are all kinds of markings. It is a 3.5 inch by 12.5 inch ruler, just in its own right. So it's a great size of ruler to have. It's wonderful to have near your sewing machine to do your cutting, but you can do all sorts of cutting with a 3.5 by 12.5. And then down the center, you don't know if you can see that well, but there is a drilled hole in the middle of the ruler running all the way down the center on each 1 inch increment line. And then at the bottom end here, there's a little area here, and these are called pivot points. And again, there's drilled holes through the ruler at 1/8 inch increments. And this lets you cut circles, basically of any size that you want, all the way from 1 inch up to 22 inches. So we have our beautiful circle party here. Sorry, my other stuff is stuck on the back of it. So here we have all our circles. So we go from a little baby 1 inch right at the top, and 1 inch increments all the way up to 22 inches. So it is pretty awesome. But if you have a circle that you have to adjust to be a certain size, you use those pivot points to get those incremental sizes. Just gonna put this out of the way. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do with our ruler, besides, I'm gonna show you how to cut the circle. Sorry, forget myself. So I'm just gonna take a piece of fabric. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it and crease it in both directions to mark the center of that, in this case, rectangle of fabric that I'm going to cut a 8 inch circle out of. So in order to cut the 8 inch circle, Shannon's reminding me, you use the back of the ruler, the smooth side of the ruler. Because we've got the grip system that usually presses against your fabric, you don't want to use that side to cut your circle because you want it to flip around really easily. We're going to put the pin right in one of the holes in the center there. And I forgot to get a pen after all that. And then I'm going to take my pen,
finger pen,
and I'm going to mark off. We want an 8-inch circle, so I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, because they're at 1-inch increments. I'm going to put my pen, my finger pen, in that hole, and I'm going to pivot the ruler, marking on my fabric as I go all the way around to where I began. And that is going to make a perfect 8-inch circle for me. So any size circle that you want for any particular sort of project, you can just make a perfect circle with that, and you don't have to worry about, do I have the right size of dinner plate in my cupboard? So this is an awesome tool for doing all the circles you might need. However, it does a whole bunch more. So first of all, I'm going to show you how you use it to make flying geese, and this makes individual flying geese. So when you're making a flying goose unit, you're usually going to put a rectangle of a certain size. You're going to pop a square on the corner there.
When I see patterns like that give instructions to make the flying geese, I stray away from them. But then we discovered this. It's so much better.
You'll be able to do it so much more easily. Usually I will then draw a line from corner to corner on my square, and I'm going to sew inch, 1/4 inch away from the line, trim it, and then flip. In this case, we can mark the, we can cut the edge off the triangle, the square, to make our flying goose triangle before we do our sewing. So on the ruler, there are marked a whole bunch of white lines, which I'm gonna just show this. You can see there's diagonal white lines on the ruler, and I'm going to use those for cutting my corners off. So I'm going to line up any white line on the ruler across the top of my unit. I'm going to line up the vertical line against the edge of my unit here, and that gives me the dotted line running perfectly from corner to corner on my square. And I'm going to trim off that edge on my square unit, and then I end up with a unit that looks like this. When I press that out, you can see there's no dog ears on it. It's absolutely perfect. And then I'm going to take a second square, going to line it up at the other end, and do exactly the same thing on the other end. Except now you just line that up like that. Square to square, whoops, it has to be this side. I'm at the wrong side, there we go. And then take that off, and you've got your other square, and when you trim that up and sew it in place, you have a perfect flying goose unit.
And they're perfect every time.
And no dog ears, so it's really nice. You can similarly do half square triangles in all sorts of different sizes, and it will do flying goose units up to 3 inches by 6 inches. We can also use it to make binding.
Because this can be quite confusing sometimes. For me anyways.
So for binding, we're going to take our 2.5 inch or 2 1/4 inch strips, whatever size you want, up to 3 inches. And I'm going to put them in layers, but with all the right sides of the fabric facing up. So if you've got a whole 6 layers to sew together, stack them all up if you are comfortable cutting that much.
Just make sure they're right sides up.
And then I'm going to take my ruler again, and now I gotta wiggle around here, and we had a little trouble with this before, and I hope I'm not gonna have trouble again.
It's hard to do it standing up.
Yeah, can you lay it down?
I can.
Sorry about that. We have to have that running across the top. There we go. Okay, I got it. All right, back up we go. Okay. So you just have to have the one white line down the side and the other one lined up in line with the top of your binding strips. And you'll see the dotted line goes right from that corner across. We're going to cut that edge off, and that will give us 2 pieces like that are ready to sew together. So when I separate my strips from one another, I'm now going to turn them and put them right sides together, and have one at 90 degrees to the other one.
This can also be
they fit together
Confusing
beautifully.
sometimes.
And I'm going to stitch corner to corner there. And you can see when I open that up, I'm going to have them line up exactly.
This is where the magic happens.
So
it's so nice. There's no dog
So
ears.
they're sewn together, no dog ears, and they just do a beautiful job. And if you've cut all your different binding strips, you just sew them end to end to end to end, and away you go.
It's great for that.
Yeah, it does a great job, and say all the dog ears removed. So the last thing that it will do, and I printed out one of these worksheets from the Creative Grids website. This is using it to do mitered corners. In this case, it's showing the miter in a attic window block, but you can use this for mitered borders as well. Just the same principle. And again, you're just going to use your ruler to mark the ends of the two different strips. You're sewing partial seams, but with the quick trim ruler, it cuts off so neatly on the edge. You can actually see that when you're sewing, so it indicates to you where your stopping point is going to be for your partial seam. Karen Montgomery explains it beautifully in her video, and same with all these other steps. You can get them all from the support video. So it is an awesome ruler that you will use over and over and over. It's $32.99 less your 20%.
So we have the blocks to show you. This is the mint, and as always, these will be posted on the website.
There's blush. So pretty. This block's a really nice one.
And woodland. That is a nice block.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And in order to pick up your February block, you need to show up here starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wearing something red, whether it's socks or glasses or
a hat, a sweater,
scarf, whatever you've got, belt that's red.
Eyeglasses.
Yes. If you don't have anything red, then you need to bring something red with you. Spatula, a keychain. I have a red spatula too. Or a spool of red thread. Whatever you've got around the house that's red, you need
a red object or a red garment.
Yes, object or garment.
Okay,
so we will see you around. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for being so supportive of the name game. We've been having a lot of
the name
fun
game's
with
been great. So
it's been awesome.
It has been good.
We'll see you guys soon.
Right. Thanks guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.